Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Friday, April 22nd. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you are somebody that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about this tool and how it can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Real quick, before I get to the watch list, I first want to personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class that I'm offering. So if you like what you see as I go through the video and you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to build good consistency as a trader and why it's just such a powerful tool, then certainly get signed up for the class. Now, with that being said, the unique situation here is that because it's a live class, it's actually occurring this evening. So if you are watching this, but you already have something on your schedule this evening, or maybe you're watching this Friday and you've missed the class, it will actually be recorded. So once the live event's done and recorded and uploaded, I'd be happy to send you a link to it. So if you're not able to attend, either because you already have something on your schedule or you just flat out missed it, then drop me an email and I would be happy to send you a link to that recording so that you can keep an eye on it. But if you can make it live, then yeah, hopefully I'll see you here in a few hours. There's a link down in the description box and then get signed up if you're watching on YouTube, or if you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. A couple of quick clarification points before I get started. First off, this number over here will be changing around, so you're not seeing things. You don't need to go to the eye doctor or anything. And then also that candle right there will still be moving. That's because the market is open still for a little bit of time. And I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day type price movement. So just keep that in mind. And then also, for you beginners out there, I will be using the 30-minute time frame. So what that means is that each one of these candlesticks here, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. So with that being said, first one here, ticker symbol CYN, and I really like this one because it's shown some strength here. What do I mean by that? Not necessarily the big gap up in the opening 30 minutes, but the fact that the price did start to get pushed back downwards, but now you can see the latter part of the day, not only did the price level out, but now it's starting to work its way back upwards. So that does make it a valid thought to think, that if the price comes up here and can push up through, let's see, what is that? $2.15. That could very well create a good breakout. Now, there are no guarantees, but my point here is that it's plausible to think, it's likely to think that there's a lot of eyeballs watching this general area, and when lots of eyeballs and people are watching the same thing, wondering the same thing, call it a self-fulfilling prophecy, call it whatever you want, it can produce some very dynamic movements. So I want to just reiterate, are no guarantees, but is it valid to think that if the price gets up there and pushes up through it, that break right there could create another round of upside buying pressure? Absolutely. So in my mind, CYN and that 215 mark makes it for a very interesting, kind of Friday level to watch, because sometimes things can move just that much more on Friday as people want to, knock something out of the park before the weekend, but we'll see what happens with it. Next one, BRQS, did this analysis previously, and it was in yesterday's watch list, and that's where the resistance line comes into play there. But you can see, got the break, and then from there, it made a very nice move today, and certainly updates need to be done. And the first update is just based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you want to see them act as support. So moving forward, if there are any sort of, bigger pullbacks, right down there around that 29-cent mark is going to be that ideal level of support that you'd want to see hold. And while I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen, just from a overarching kind of explanation standpoint, let's say the price did go down there and bounced around, what would you still have? Well, from the big picture, you'd still have lows there, lows there, lows there, lows down there. And if you envision those as stair steps, then again, big picture wise, you'd very clearly have stair steps continuing to progress in the upwards direction. So keep an eye on that as kind of just more so that overarching key level of support. And then as far as levels of resistance are concerned, keep an eye on that trend line moving forward. So if there is any sort of movement back to the upside, looking like right up around that 41 cent mark is going to be that key level of resistance. But overall, the uptrend continues. Next one, AMC, another rough day here, so updates need to be done. I'm just going to do some house cleaning, go ahead and get rid of that level as it's kind of irrelevant right now, and I don't want to create, confusion because there's lines and clutter all over the place. So trying to keep this as clean as possible. But the first update comes into play based on that rule that when levels of support are broken and closed below, they tend to act as resistance, and you can see that's actually playing out here perfectly right now. So going into the day, that $16.90 mark was considered a level of support, but with the price breaking down below it, you can see this afternoon, that area, generally speaking, has just been a problem point. So in the very near term, 1690 going to be that first key level of resistance. The good news is that the price is within striking distance, so I don't think it's unreasonable to think that the price could get back above at least that initial area of resistance. But the much more pressing and much more important level of resistance would be that purple line there, the 50-period moving average, currently valued at $17.60. But you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. One step at a time. And again, from the resistance standpoint, that first step is, being able to get back up above and stay above 1690. As far as levels of support, Got to squeeze things down here quite a bit because, as you can see here, been a very long time since the price has been down this low, with the next key level of support now being down there right around that $16 mark. So keep an eye on that. And I don't think anybody would necessarily be surprised if $16 were coming into play. Again, no guarantees, but would that catch anybody off guard? I don't think so at this point with the amount of downwards pressure that seems to have shown up. Next one, CRXT, a very nice little consolidation pattern, big movement, and a whole lot of excitement here on Wednesday, but with the pullback here, and now this thing just leveling out. Again, and I should say that, and I wish I could say that trading was this easy, where just because the price goes sideways, that for sure guaranteed it's going to go back upwards. But again, there are no guarantees. But is it plausible? Is it logical to think that with the price now starting to go sideways, to think, okay, maybe this is the bottom? Yeah, that's a completely valid thought process to have. Again, not a guaranteed thought process, but by no means could somebody accuse you of being irrational. So the level here that I think a lot of people are going to be watching is going to be that trend line right there. You can see that this trend line, by using that data point, and that data point did a good job of forecasting this general area of resistance. So if the price can break up through there, then it's plausible to think that that could create some good upside buying pressure. If the price does pull back a bit more, then as I talked about in the previous video, but we'll reiterate, you have an area of support right there. But now with the 50-period moving average moving up above that green line, that 50-period right now valued at $1.82 actually takes higher priority from the support side of things. But in my mind, the most interesting dynamic, and I think the dynamic that most people are going to be wondering about and care about, is all regarding that trend line there and whether or not the price can break above it. And remember, that's the whole idea of a watch list, right? Find unique situations and then watch them and see if you ever do, if they behave in a manner that, causes you to want to build some sort of trade plan around them. But overall, keep an eye on that trend line. Next one, NIO, not a good day at all. Heading into the day, there was what I thought was going to be a nice solid area of support right here. I mean, a support zone, 2 levels of support relatively close to each other. But the opening part of today just blasted down through both of those. So rough from that standpoint, and then going to go ahead and just get that one out of the way, and we'll just use this, which you now know from that rule that I stated earlier, that was a level of support, but now the level's been broken below and closed below, that would be considered an area of resistance. So moving forward, if the price does try to, bounce back upwards, 1775 is going to be that first key level of resistance. Keep an eye on. And then from the overarching standpoint, like on AMC, you have that the 50-period moving average, that purple line, right now valued at $18.60. In terms of levels of support, going to have to squeeze things down here quite a bit because, as you're seeing, it has been a long time since the price has been down this low. We're talking about multiple weeks at this point, with the next key level of support now being right there at $16.75, which it looks like the price got relatively close to today. Yeah, so got somewhat close to that green line there, but moving forward, $16.75 certainly going to be that next very important level of support. Next one, RDBX, and this is all based around the question and the premise of, do you still believe in the overall trend? Because there's no doubt about it, there's some nice overall movement here. There's some nice strength and a trend that was established today. But as of now, there has been this relatively deep pullback. Now, if you still do believe in the general trend, well, then you can structure yourself a very nice risk versus reward scenario. But if you think, okay, it's game over, and this is actually not any sort of genuine pullback, but rather a reversal, well, then, of course, at that point, you would want to stick away or stay away from it. But for those of you that do like to play these sorts of situations, again, the situation being strong momentum and then a pullback, and then this one certainly would fit that criteria, especially if it, you're somebody that likes to play the sub $10, sub $5 stocks, that would meet all that criteria. And then final, from a volume analysis standpoint, which, as any textbook or whatever will tell you, you want to see volume drop off during pullbacks. And I mean, that is exactly what's happened here. So price has pulled back, volume has dropped off a whole lot, compared to the breakout volume right there. So like I said, if you like to play these sorts of scenarios in this price range, then it's worth at least, keeping an eye on and watching. Next one, AMD. Been a while since I've gotten this one updated, but brutal day today. And, kind of just the power of charts. You can see the opening 30 minutes. Price made a strong move up and surprise, surprise, found some resistance right there at a former level that I've talked about. But that level, yes, it still pertains to the chart, but certainly not relevant anymore. So I'm just going to go ahead and adjust this level down to a near-term level of resistance, which in my mind sticks out at the $92.50 mark. So if there is any sort of attempted bounce, to give some credit to, very nice final 30-minute candle here that's formed. But, one candle, of course, doesn't make or break a chart. But, yeah, interesting candle. So if this does lead to some sort of bounce, first key level of resistance that you got to question on whether or not it can fight back above and stay above is 92.50. And then if it can, next key level of resistance right there with purple line, which let's just call at the $94 mark. And purple line, in case you don't remember, is that 50-period moving average. In terms of all levels of support, like a lot of these stocks, and AMD in particular. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. All right, we are going... All right, let's do this. We're going to have to change to the daily time frame. I didn't realize it's been this long. So we are now going to the more traditional viewpoint where each one of these candlesticks represents an entire day. So we are at literally multi-month lows at this point. I didn't realize that for this one. Okay, so next key level of support going to be right there at 89. And then after 89, next key level down there at 84.25. And yeah, we're talking about levels that were last hit back in July of 2021. So literally months and months ago was the last time the price was down this low. So yeah, actually quite the brutal day here for AMD, more so than I even realized. Next one, SNDL, and we are back on the 30-minute time frame here. Been a long time since I've done this one, and not a whole lot to say still. But like I said, just from the sense of it's been a while. And the reason why I say there's not a whole lot to say is that as far as this trend line here is concerned, generally speaking, I mean, this thing just remains in the downtrend. Now, from a trading standpoint, there's been some nice opportunities. I mean, there's been all sorts of dead cat bounces along the way. Several dead cat bounces there. Right there. Dead cat meaning it shows strength and then falls, and then falls, and falls, which is, the definition of a downtrend there. I mention all that because this one has a very clear track record now of even if on Friday, for example, it bounces and starts to go green, I would still be very, very skeptical. Now, that doesn't mean that it's not actually the start of a true reversal, but given the track record, as I've just pointed out, I would definitely be very, very skeptical of any sort of quote-unquote apparent signs of genuine strength. So just keep that in mind that from the overarching standpoint, you've had many false bounces here along the way. As far as next potential areas of support are concerned, the next level that could very well be coming into play here down there at that 49-cent mark, so keep a close eye on that. But this is such a popular one that you got to think that one, it does actually put together a worthwhile bounce. From a trading standpoint, there should be some good solid opportunity. Next one, NVDA, a very brutal day. Not necessarily because it was red, but from a technical point of view, what happened today was, it broke down through what had been a very, very impressive area of support at $212. You can see, generally speaking, held strong, held strong, held strong, held strong, held strong, held strong. You get the idea. But then right there, when it did finally break, it was, bye-bye to the price as it really dropped downwards. So again, that's where, in my mind, the true bearishness comes from. Of course, yes, it was a big red day, but the fact that it broke down below such a pivotal level right there, just illustrates that the bears had a very strong day. So again, that would now be considered an area of resistance for the reasons previously, explained in other charts here. So 212, if there's any sort of bigger bounce, is going to be that main level. But as far as supports, and do we have another AMD situation? Oh, wow. So it even broke down through these levels of support too. So yeah, in a nearest term sense, that 206 mark is actually going to be the first key level of resistance to watch, which is coming from these lows from, back here. So maybe we're going to need to change to the daily time frame again. Yep, looks so. All right, so I didn't realize. Oh, yeah. Yep, been a long time since the price been down at these levels for these stocks. So next key level of support here being right down at the 195 mark. So 195, I don't think would catch anybody off guard to see come into play here. But I'm shocked at these because, yeah, the NASDAQ got, hammered today too. But the NASDAQ isn't necessarily at the previous lows where it was from, a couple weeks ago. But this one has already broken down through those lows, which just really shows how weak these stocks are. Next one, TSLA Tesla, had earnings, and then the classic gap and trap, which is brutal. I mean, to think that there are people buying, going long, buying calls. Hopefully they had risk management in place because, wow, things got really ugly for them. So an absolute gap and trap today, which brings about two main levels that I'll be watching tomorrow. And I am somebody that, keeps an eye on Tesla every day. Doesn't necessarily trade it every day, but I'm definitely always watching. So the first level that I'm very curious about right here at 992, which is essentially this little gap close area. So I'm keeping an eye on that. And then if that doesn't hold up, this 973 area, which has a massive, massive, massive track record of acting as support. So again, does that mean that if the price goes down there, it'll for sure guaranteed bounce? Of course not. No guarantees. But is it plausible? Absolutely. Nobody could accuse you of being irrational to think that it could bounce from there when it's already bounced once, twice, 3 times, and 4 times before. So does it happen for the 5th? That's going to be a question on a whole lot of people's minds, mine included. As far as areas of resistance, if there's any sort of attempted move back to the upside, key level that I'll be very curious about is that 200 period moving average right there, which you can see just brutally rejected the price right there, and that's currently up there at 1039. That wraps up the top 10. Again, if you like what you saw here, you want to learn more about this tool, how it can and should be used to help build consistency as a trader, then certainly get signed up for the free class. Or again, like I said, because it will be this evening, Thursday, April 21st at 7 p.m. Eastern time. But if you can't make it live because you already have something on your schedule, or maybe you're watching this Friday morning and you've missed it, then go ahead and just drop me an email, clay@claytrader.com, and I would be happy to send you a link to the recording. Because again, yes, it's a live event that will be recorded. So after I get it uploaded, then I will gladly send you a link if you'd still like to view the class. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, if you would like for me to continue to do these videos, then do a couple things for me. Hit the like button, leave a simple comment. Not only does that just help the channel as a whole, which I appreciate, but it lets me know that you enjoy these, and as long as I know people are enjoying, then I will continue to put in the time and effort to create these sort of watch list content videos. So like I said, get signed up for that class or just drop me an email, and hopefully I'll see you here in just a few hours.